Today we are going to focus on the followers, on our leadership model for leader, situation, and followers. There can be no leaders without followers, but most research to date has focused on leadership. Researchers have only recently given serious consideration to the topics of followers and followership. This research has revealed several interesting questions and findings. First, virtually everyone is a follower at some point in his or her life. And perhaps more important, anyone occupying a position of authority plays a followership role at times. First line supervisors report to middle managers. Middle managers report to vice presidents. Vice presidents report to CEOs, and CEOs report to boards of directors. Because the same people play both leadership and followership roles, it is hardly surprising that the values, bases of power, personality traits, leadership laws, mental abilities, and behaviors used to describe effective leaders can also be used to describe effective followers. Followers vary in all the same ways that leaders vary. Second, there are times when situational demands require that individuals in formal followership roles step into leadership roles. For example, a sergeant may take over a platoon when her lieutenant is wounded in battle. A volunteer may take over a community group when the leader moves away. A software engineer may be asked to lead a project because of unique programming skills, or team members can be asked to make decisions about team goals, work priorities, meeting schedules, and the like. That being the case, followers who are perceived to be the most effective are most likely to be asked to take the lead when opportunities arise. So understanding what constitutes effective followership and exhibiting those behaviors can help improve a person's promotion opportunities. Effective followership plays such an important role in the development of future leadership skills that freshmen at all the U.S. service academies, for example the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marine academies, spent their first year in formal follower roles. Following the path set by the service academies, perhaps the most effective people in any organization are those who are equally adept at playing both leadership and followership roles. Many people make great leaders, but ultimately fail because of their inability to follow orders or get along with peers. And other people are great at following orders, but cause teams to fail because of their reluctance to step into leadership roles. Third, it is important to remember the vital role followers play in societal change and organizational performance. The civil rights, Tea Party, Occupy Wall Street, and umbrella movements are good examples of what happens when angry followers decide to do something to change their status quo. And this is precisely why totalitarian societies such as North Korea, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Turkmenistan, and Iran, and so much others, tightly control the amount and type of information flowing through their countries. Organizational leaders should treat followers as important assets because they are the people creating the products, taking orders, serving customers, and collecting payments. Research has consistently shown The more engaged employees are happier, more productive, and more likely to stay with organizations than those who are disengaged. Moreover, ethical followers can help leaders avoid making questionable decisions, and high performing followers often motivate leaders to raise their own levels of performance and standards. Wars are usually won by armies with the best soldiers. Teams with the best athletes usually win the most games, and companies with the best employees usually outperform their competitors. So it is to the leader's benefit to choose and develop the best followers. Fourth, although asking why anyone would want to be a leader is an interesting question, perhaps a more interesting question is asking why anyone would want to become or to be a follower. Being a leader clearly has some advantages, but why would anyone freely choose to be a subordinate to someone else? Why would you be a follower? Evolutionary psychology hypothesizes that people follow because the benefits of doing so outweigh the costs of going it alone or fighting to become the leader of a group. Thousands of years ago, most people lived in small, maybe nomadic groups. These groups offer individuals more protection, resources for securing food, and mating opportunities that they would have had on their own. The groups with the best leaders and followers were more likely to survive, and those poorly led or consisting of bad followers were more likely to starve. Followers who were happy with the costs and benefits of membership stayed with the group. Those who were not either left to join other groups or battle for the top spots. Evolutionary psychology also rightly points that leaders and followers can often have different goals and agendas. In the workplace, leaders may be making decisions to maximize financial performance, whereas followers may be acting to improve job security. Therefore, leaders adopting an evolutionary psychology approach to followership must do all they can to align followers' goals with those of the organization and ensure that the benefits people accrue outweigh the cost of working for the leader. Followers will either mutiny or leave if goals are misaligned or inequities are perceived. The Potter and Rosenbach followership model. This model analyzes four spectrum of followership of politicians, partners, subordinate, and contributor. These are personality or activity or traits that they possess. Let's start with subordinate. Subordinates are followers in the more traditional sense. They do what they are told, follow the rules, are low to medium performers, and do not have particularly good relationship with their leaders. These individuals often rise in more bureaucratic, hierarchical organizations because they tend to remain with organizations for long periods, stay out of trouble, and do not make waves. Let's continue with contributors, which are different in that they are hard workers and often are motivated to be subject matter experts in their organizations. Although these individuals can be great researchers, programmers, accountants, managers, They have no interest in interpersonal dynamics or building stronger relationships with their leaders. They rarely seek out their leaders' perspectives, generally wait for direction, and work best in jobs where they can be left alone to do their own thing. Politicians. These individuals put much more emphasis on getting along well with their boss than on getting things done. They are loyal and sensitive to interpersonal dynamics, and as such can give leaders good insights into other team members. There appear to be two types of politicians. Some delight in playing the game and are good in positions that require lots of interactions with others. They often confuse activity with productivity, can be administratively challenged, and can often be found in sales or public relations because they are good at talking to people. The other type of politician tends to be manipulative, selfish, and have unhealthy needs to be the center of attention. These people play games, start rumors, get little done, but take credit for others' work and jockey to being seen as indispensable to their leaders. Leaders who fall under this type of politician spell often have teams with poor morale and performance. Partners are individuals who are committed to high performance and building good relationships with their leaders. Partners take time to understand their leaders' perspectives and buy into their vision for the team because they are strongly motivated to make an impact. Partners work closely with their leaders to identify issues and work out solutions. Unlike politicians, partners are much more likely to raise uncomfortable issues and hold leaders accountable for decisions. Said this, we will be continuing with the Corfy and Rowley followership model, in which it analyzes the traits of criticizers, self-starters, slackers, brown nosers, with high and low critical thinking and high and low engagement. Self-starters are a significant component of high-performing teams and are by far the most effective followership type. Leaders who want to have these followers should keep in mind the underlying psychological driver of this type and the behaviors they need to exhibit if they want to encourage self-starters. In terms of underlying psychological driver, leaders need to understand that self-starters fundamentally lack patience. They do not suffer fools gladly and expect their leaders to promptly clear obstacles and acquire the resources needed to succeed. Brown nosers. They share the strong work ethic but lack the critical thinking skills of self-starters. Brown nosers are earnest, dutiful, conscientious, and loyal employees who will do whatever their leaders ask them to do. They never point out problems, raise objections, or make any waves, and they do whatever they can to please their bosses. Brown nosers constantly check in with their leaders and operate by seeking permission rather than forgiveness. It is not surprising that many leaders surround themselves with brown nosers. These individuals are sources of constant flattery and tell everyone how lucky they are to be working with such great bosses. Let's continue with slackers. They do not exert much effort toward work, believe they are entitled to a paycheck for just showing up, and that it is management job to solve problems. Slackers are clever at avoiding work and are stealth employees. They often disappear for hours on end, make it a practice to look busy but get little done, have many excuses for not getting projects accomplished, and spend more time devising ways to avoid completing tasks than they would just getting them done. Slackers are content to spend entire days surfing the web, shopping online, chatting with coworkers, or taking breaks, rather than being productive at work. Criticizers are followers who are disengaged from work yet possess strong critical thinking skills, but rather than directing their problem identification and resolution skills toward work-related issues, criticizers are instead motivated to find fault in anything their leaders' organizations do. Criticizers make it a point of telling coworkers what their leaders are doing wrong, how any change efforts are doomed to failure, how bad their organizations are compared to competitors, and how management shoot down any suggestions for improvement. Let's move on to the weekly activity, in which you will have to develop a short story. Imagine that you work in HR or in some organizational department for a great company or medium-sized company, and your boss or leader asks you the following. Please select two problematic collaborators or persons from your office, or the followers, one from each model, and create a short history about them in text form. Like, for example, if you were writing an email to your boss, make up a couple of names and state why did they both fell on that followership. For example, slackers, criticizers, brown nosers category, and so on. And follow these steps to make the story. First, point out the observation. What did you saw about that person that set up some red flags on it? Analysis. What can you analyze on that information or visualization that you saw? How you came out with that idea? Inference. Why did you suspect that they fall into that fellowship category that you are pointing of one of the two models? Communication. Write that story in an example email to your boss or leader with the whole story. Problem solving. Give two or three ideas to your boss or leader on how do you think you can solve the problems in order to upskill these collaborators so they can be better performers rather than just mere criticizers or brown-nosers followers. Said this, please be open, have fun, be creative. Any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you. This was Victor Marromo. Goodbye.